self-destruct in 20 seconds. This is your last chance to push the cancellation button.
Cancellation button? Hurry! Where is it? Where is it? It's gotta be here. Out of order! Fuck! Even in the future, nothing works.
This ship will self-destruct in exactly 10 seconds. Counting down. 10, 9, 8, 6.
6! What happened to 7?
Just kidding.
There's the other end! Faster!
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Woodshed. This is Leo Valdez, and I'm actually going to just keep this very simple to the point because, well, I'm still enjoying my Christmas vacation. I don't know about you guys, but we have been throughout this Christmas vacation watching the bowl series, and this bowl season has actually been quite good. However, one game does stick out a little bit, and it's the game that proves that temper tantrums get you nothing but headaches and heartaches. And that is the temper tantrum that the FSU Seminoles decided that they wanted to throw by not showing up to their game and getting absolutely thwarted by the Georgia Bulldogs. Now, was this fair to college football? Not really. And was it fair to the Seminoles? No, not really. Why? Because one team felt like they were being excluded because of one Jordan Travis, which, come on, let's face the realities. They were already inconsistent with Jordan, even though they were winning, and winning does produce the result. They did win their conference, and they should have maybe even been considered for the possibility of a college football playoff showing. However, the one thing you don't do is you don't throw a temper tantrum and then leave your organization behind and then make your fans look stupid for defending you. That's the one thing you don't do. And that actually I don't put that on the players more than I put it on the actual coach. Mike Norvell should have rallied his guys and done what they were supposed to do and give the Georgia Bulldogs at least a good game. This alone proves as to why the committee even felt compelled to leave them out of the playoff, because they knew somehow, some way there would be this level of bad behavior. Join with me is Hunter, and I'm going to ask you, Hunter, what do you think about this?
Well, Leo, let me start by saying this, okay? FSU went ahead, right? They started all this mess, suing the committee, wanting to exit the ACC, all this. The committee's playing favorites. And then they have 20 people not show up to play. It's like, here's your opportunity to show the committee that you could compete, you could show up, and that they made the mistake, and you could really put it to them. But no, the players would rather, they're like, no, we're not going to play because blah, 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 and all of this shebang. And then you're left with this, a 60-point blowout. Everybody's now like, oh, look, the committee got it right, which they probably did. Let me tell you, they looked at it, they said, Alabama beat Georgia, and Georgia would run a train through FSU. We can't put Georgia in because Georgia lost to Alabama, and Alabama would beat FSU because we know Georgia would beat FSU. There was only one person you could pick. It was Alabama. They were on a hot rolling and this and that, and we got some great bowl games. Both games came down to the final play of the game. It was incredible. It was incredible. We were treated to some superb college football. The semifinals are probably the best semifinals we've had so far.
Yeah, I know. And sadly, it almost looks like the committee got it almost 100% right. And it sucks because in reality, I feel like the people who got the real shaft, the people who really got the shaft were the Florida State Seminole fans. Out of all of this, they were very
because they were all excited, just that and the other, to end their season on not having any of their guys play and getting blown out by Georgia. It's kind of a kick in the mouth to the fans who showed up to all these games and, sat
right, which is why I think that Mike Norvell deserves the brunt of all of this. Like that loss is squarely on him because it was
Well,
for
you know what
him
it is.
to rally his guys and say, "This is going to be our national championship. We're going to prove that we can go out there
Like
and
the
contend with the
UCF
best."
did, like the Knights did when they beat Auburn in the
Right,
Sugar Bowl. But here's the biggest thing I want everybody to look at. Mike Norvell came in, and what did he do? He brought in a bunch of people from the transfer portal.
right.
How can you expect people who weren't even loyal to their first school to stick around with you through a hardship? Come on.
Well, that I think will come down to when we discuss after the national championship series, when we discuss the transfer portal, NIL, what can college football do
I'm
to
just
fix it?
saying,
Because
if they transfer
everybody's
in,
got
they have
1,000
no issue
ideas out there.
transferring out. I'm just saying, if they transfer in, they have no issue transferring out to a better situation. That's all it
True.
is. Let me tell you, if NFL players could just up and go, I'm headed to the Dolphins. I'm headed to the Chiefs. Oh Lord, you'd have like 3 super teams, and that would be it.
That'd be it, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's see what happens, let's see what's in store. So you got Michigan, you got Washington. Well, okay. I wanna just call this out because we didn't have a show last week, and I wanna say this. You made a prediction that the 49ers would beat the Ravens by 3 scores.
Oh yeah, that was pretty bad.
Okay. Now, they not only do the Ravens win that game, but then they go, which I said they would, they go on then to just trounce your Dolphins. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. So I
Okay,
want you to think
so
clearly
can I
before you
tell you
make
what the
this
problem?
prediction for
Can I tell you
college
what
football. Oh,
can I
no,
tell
the
you what the
Dolphins are all
problem
hurt.
is?
Everybody's
No,
hurt.
no, it has nothing to be heard about, man. This is all Mr. Harbaugh prays in his locker room. He's the only coach that does this. You know how the Lord works. How are we supposed to stand up to Jesus?
All right. Well, we will be talking about that shortly. However, before we make this prediction, I want you to think long and hard, buddy, because come on, you got to give me you got Michigan, you got the Wolverines, and then you got the Huskies, and you got Big Penix energy, and you got JJ McCarthy. What are you thinking?
I guess it all boils down to who's got the better defense, man. And Michigan's got the better defense than Washington. Both offenses can put up points. Michigan's
Yeah,
probably got the best quarterback they've had in decades. If you're talking about like Michigan accolades and stuff, like Harbaugh said, he probably is the best Michigan quarterback. Everybody wants to talk about Tom Brady, but there's a reason Tom Brady went in the 7th round coming out of
yeah,
Michigan.
right,
He was not a great Michigan quarterback. He was a great NFL quarterback, one of the
right,
greatest to ever do it. No, McCarthy is really good. This offense is going
right.
to move the ball against Washington. If Texas moved the ball as much as they did against Washington, Michigan's going to move the ball. I'm interested to see how Washington responds to not really being able to run the ball. Because if you look, Alabama was thwarted on the ground. They really weren't
Right.
able to get much going. They were able to steadily power through with the passing game and keep up, but their defense kept them in the game the whole time.
Correct.
And
Right.
when push came to shove, I like what Saban said. He said, you can't take 2 timeouts in a row. So we took the timeout, we saw the formation, got in formation again, and he said, we should have audibled and switched to a different formation. We didn't. They were expecting the run, and that was that.
Well, I'm gonna defend Tommy Reese because I know everybody was kind of calling for his job. That play was blown up by
His own guy,
by the
his own guy
quarterback.
fell on him.
Yeah, no, the quarterback didn't actually follow through his pull block. He
Yeah.
decided that he wanted to counter, and
Well,
when
and
he
then the
made
running
that decision wasn't made honestly, it wasn't made because Milrose just a bad decision maker. It was actually because he received a bad snap. That's why
not just well,
he had to change his footing.
it wasn't just that either. If you watch the running back was supposed to hit the gap and block. He ran into the ass of one of his offensive linemen, fell back,
Right.
and fell on is it Milrose? Milrow, right? Milrow.
Yeah.
It's on Milrose's leg. Right on his legs. Where's he going? How you running with no legs? You're not running nowhere. The only
I'm
thing
just
I know
saying.
that runs with no legs is the refrigerator.
That's right. Well, I think that I'm looking at the line. everyone's looking at the defense just like you, but I think it comes down to the offensive line, and I think Michigan has a much better offensive line. They're
It's
gonna be
entrenching.
able to power through. Alabama nearly won this game because against the
Big,
Wolverines
big
because
line.
they were nickel and diming them, but they couldn't do anything deep, which Penix is not gonna be able to do anything deep. These safeties for Michigan are actually really, really good. And I honestly think that it's just gonna come down to who's got the better O-line, and to me, the better O-line falls on Michigan.
On the Wolverines, I think the Wolverines finally get it done after all these
All these
years of
attempts, yeah.
sticking with Harbaugh. And let me tell you, Harbaugh came into a program that was 5-7.
Yes.
Michigan
Yeah, the
was on
Rich
the way.
Rodriguez program. I'm
Michigan was
aware.
on the way out, man. They were about
Yes.
to be like Miami. That was it. They're done.
Yeah.
And Harbaugh came in, he resurrected the program. And I think how long 7 years that he's been there? Maybe longer.
Yeah, it had to have been around 2010, actually,
Had to be
2011.
because I know his first 4 years
I
there, he
believe
never
it
beat
was
Ohio State.
2011. It was a 2011 season when he came in.
Okay.
'Cause I remember
Are you
that's when
sh
they ousted. Yeah, yeah. I was actually in Coral Springs at that time, so yeah, I know. Um, I'm, like, correlating events in my mind.
But yeah, to be there for that many years and, finally get the program going and in the
They
direction that
finally got over the Ohio State hump, and now they're getting into, the national championship conversation. Let's see. I'm actually rooting for them, even though I'm a fan of the Irish, but it's more along the lines of I'm rooting for them because on paper, and as a whole body of work, I think Michigan is gonna win this game, but this is not gonna be an easy victory by any stretch. It's gonna be a great game from beginning to end.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be one of those games that comes down to the last possession, and
Yep.
that's when I say that I think the defense gets it done. I think Michigan takes a late lead, and Washington gets that final drive, and the Michigan defense gets a stop. And I believe one Harbaugh brother will be hosting a trophy. And you know what? You could have both brothers be champions at the end of their respective seasons. That would be pretty
I
cool. I'm
know,
not gonna lie.
but John still has that one extra Super Bowl
That is
on
true.
his hip, and he got it on Jim's back. So that's what a lot of people talking about Jim
There's a lot
going
of
into
yeah, and
back
everybody
into the
argues about
NFL. So let's
well,
see.
and everybody argues about what's better, a Super Bowl win or a national championship. So, Saban will
Uh,
tell you they're all the same. It's just
they're
about the
all
money
the
they pay
same.
you.
Yes, that's right. It's all about that win, the wins, and the
The
legacy that you leave behind.
delicious green.
Delicious.
Look at Jimbo
that,
Fisher, man.
that
Jimbo is
nice
like, I don't
Benjamin
care if they
salad.
suck.
Yeah.
I'm getting my 200 million.
All right. So then let's transition now to the NFL. And your Dolphins are actually playing against the Buffalo Bills for the
For the
division.
division. I know. If you told me
Who do you have?
it's hard,
Hurting some
man,
feelings.
because the Dolphins just lost Bradley Chubb on defense. You've got
Right.
Tua with a banged up shoulder.
Mhm.
Tyreek Hill's house just burnt down, so
That's right.
I,
Yes.
I don't know how he's feeling. And the best part is
He
is
might not
they
even make
came
the game. They don't
well, and
they
they came
he's
out with it now.
questionable.
No, he'll make the game. As long as he's got somewhere to sleep. Uh, no, and then the best was at first they said it was an electrical fire, and then now it's come out his son decided he was gonna take a lighter and play with a lighter. The one thing they tell you not to leave around and let his house and not just a small portion of the house, the whole
Right.
house on
Oh,
fire.
wow.
The whole house. And yeah, and it was right down there in that Rick Ross Southwest Ranches down there. So
Yeah.
yeah, big house, big prop bye. So
Yeah.
insurance will have fun with that. So, I don't even know. The Dolphins are so banged up, and that's the sucky part because the Dolphins all healthy, great, superb roster, and
That's
never
right.
seem to make it to the end completely healthy. Neither
Uh
can other teams.
I
Everybody gets hurt. You gotta
think
have
they're
that
having
depth.
what's known as Dallas Cowboy syndrome, where they have a great season, but they can't get it together in December.
I can
And
see it's all up to it's really all up. to the man with the playbook on the sideline for the Dolphins. If they have the right game plan and they call the right plays, Dolphins can get it done. Gosh, if you told me 4 or 5 weeks ago the Dolphins would be playing the Bills for the division, I would have laughed in your face.
Well, yeah, but because
I got the
nobody saw the Bills getting on a 4-game winning streak.
I got the Dolphins winning at home in a sold out Hard Rock Stadium. I think Tua finds a way to get it done.
I mean, no matter what, they make the playoff. It would be nice to have a
Yeah, but it
division
would
title,
suck
but
to
I
go
don't.
from. But we would go from the 2nd seed and a home playoff game to the 7th seed and no playoff game.
Right. No, I'm not saying that
home
it's a
playoff
it's it's a good scenario, but the way you have to look at it is, are you going to risk further injury
For a
for
home
a
playoff
title
game, yeah.
for a division title?
Yeah, for a home playoff game rather than having to go up north and play. Yeah. Yeah. To win the division, yeah.
I mean, no matter what, you're going to find yourself going
If
up
you were
against.
fighting for like to move up from 5th seed to 4th, I could see them being like fucking. Sorry, excuse my language. But as far as going from 2 seed to 7 seed, they're going to be fighting for it. They want the
Okay.
division. Yeah, McDaniels wants the division because then if we lose in the playoffs, he can at least say he won the division.
True. Yeah, that's a solid
Job
point.
security, my man.
Yeah. Well, as far as job security, I don't know anybody in the AFC South that's actually going to be able to keep their job.
Yeah, that's quite the.
I mean,
Well,
Doug Peterson even fired his own kid.
Wait. There is one coach, the Houston Texans coach, because everybody expected them to win 2 or 3 games this year, and they really outperformed. CJ Stroud looks good, and let me tell you, if Tank Dell didn't blow his ACL out, the Texans might have been onto something. Because once they lost Tank Dell, teams were able to double team Nico Collins and shut him down and everything. You lose that double threat.
Right.
Texas were rolling there at one point.
I can see that. Like I said, right now it's actually dependent on it's the Jaguars for the win. The Colts need for the Jaguars and the Texans to lose.
Yeah.
The Texans only need the Jaguars to lose in
Yeah.
order for them to
So the
take
Jags
the
control their
division.
destiny.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just right now everything's basically looking like no matter what. I think I'm looking at as I'm looking at the standings right now. I see the Steelers getting in on a wild card, and maybe the Colts if the Jaguars win.
Yeah,
But
maybe. I mean, I told you that Tomlin doesn't have losing seasons.
that's true. No, it's good to
17
see.
straight.
Yeah, I know.
Any other
And
head
then you
coach
still
is
have
winning 2 or 3 games with that roster.
yeah, especially
Maximum.
with Tiny Hands Pickett. Yeah, absolutely, I can see that. And then we're gonna move over to the NFC where we have the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Niners, and the Rams have secured their playoff spots. The Niners, of course, winning their division. The Cowboys and Eagles are playing for their divisions, but they're not playing each other.
No.
Then you have the Lions who have their
the
division.
Vikings.
No, it's a lot. The Vikings are out.
No, I'm saying they're playing the Vikings.
You're right. They're playing the Vikings, but they've already
But they
taken
already
their
won the
division. They can lose this
division.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want
That's
to
right.
laugh? You know the
Now-
last time that the Lions won their division, right, was back in like the 1970s, and it was also the lowest crime rate that Detroit has seen since then. So Lions being good, people don't commit crimes. It's a correlation.
I don't know. Somebody should tell the Bears organization the same thing.
Oh, right.
See what'll happen there. Now, the NFC South is again just like the AFC South, but the NFC South is a dumpster fire, in my opinion.
Dumpster fire.
So you have the Saints who can win if the Bucks lose, but and then you still have a chance that the Falcons can take it, which I don't know about all that, but you never really know. This is the part of the division portion of the NFL that I don't like. When teams that clearly don't deserve to be in the postseason are getting in. This would be like letting the Giants play in the postseason. Like, no, you don't do that. Bad.
Well,
Stop.
you get like a second like bye week, man. You just
I I know, but when you win your division on a 9-8 season, there's got to be something to really attest to really how poor your organization really is.
Yeah, I
Uh,
can agree with that. That division is really weak, and to not have at least one.
and how the mighty have fallen with the Carolina Panthers. I mean, honestly, it to me, it doesn't even matter who wins the NFC South. Our eyes, as you called it earlier last season that the Lions were going to be the team that surprises everybody out of the NFC.
I told
And
you.
the Niners are still looking good. The Cowboys and the Eagles, to me, they're limping, even though they look strong. So it's like,
When
even
I
though they're
saw,
limping, they still are better than the NFC South.
yeah, no, absolutely. You have a lot of teams that are better than the NFC South that aren't
Right.
going to be in the playoffs.
And I think that if I'm looking at it honestly, I don't see the Eagles making it past the first round. I think Jalen is too hurt. There's too much going on there. So I see the Cowboys actually taking their division title, that they desperately need to finish the season off really
Yeah, and
strong.
then
And
I
hopefully
see the
Dak gets
Cowboys.
another win in the playoffs
Yeah, I see the Cowboys making it all the way to the NFC Championship where they get thumped by the 49ers.
by the 49ers. Let's see.
I got
I actually think it's going to be the 49ers and the Lions playing in the NFC championship game, which I think will be an amazing game just to watch in and of itself, because just to see what Dan Campbell has done with that team has been pretty amazing. So while we ignore the actual divisions,
well,
like,
I think it's gonna be Dolphins and Niners, man, in the Super Bowl.
you think
And
the
then
Dolphins and Niners for the
yeah, and
Super
then
Bowl?
Dan will take over Tua's body, and it'll be a rematch of him and Joe Montana.
Well, I think it's going to be the 49ers and the Ravens. The Ravens are just they're on fire.
Yeah, they look
They've
really
got
good.
everything
They got
together.
Jesus on their side. How do you stop Jesus, Leo? How do you can stack
You can't.
11 in
There
a
ain't no
box, but
stopping
you
them.
can't
No,
stack. You can't.
you can't. Hey, man, I'm not disagreeing with you there. But as we ignore the southern divisions of the NFL, let's also pretend that we have not truly been ignoring basketball. And as far as the big conversation that is actually happening with NBA officiating. Now, since Jordan was playing, especially late in Jordan's career, there was something called the Jordan Rule. And the Jordan Rule was basically to basically call fouls on valuable players that weren't fouls, they were flops. Little by little, more and more NBA stars started catching on and started flopping around and getting a lot of fouls called on them. Now, Hunter, I just want to take a few minutes. I don't want to take very long to talk about this, but now all of a sudden, Steve Kerr thinks there's a problem with the officiating in the NBA, with now the fact that they're calling fouls on just about everything, especially since Draymond Green decided he wanted to play blood sport in basketball. So I think, and this is my opinion, and maybe you could follow up with me here, is that I think the NBA has a real serious problem.
Well, I think it's more of when it benefited Steve Kerr, he didn't say anything, because
Right.
they used to always help out Curry. He would jump behind the 3-point line into people and stuff so he could get 4 free throws, stuff like that. Always does that. That's just how basketball goes, stuff like that. I think the referees are getting a little, yeah, whistle happy in a certain sense. But Steve Kerr can't be blaming the referees for Draymond Green. God, I hope not, because Draymond Green just does not know how to behave. Okay, the guy's got issues. He's been suspended many, many, many times over his career. He just can't get it together. It's time for him to go. And it's funny because his behavior is normal in hockey, but you're not allowed to do that in the NBA. But the
Well,
refs are but I think Steve Kerr it's more of the old, as long as it doesn't harm me, I'm not gonna say anything, but as soon as it bothers me, oh no, it needs to go.
right, right, and I think I think that'll just go with just about anybody. In reality, we
Exactly. That's what
always
I'm saying. It's the
no one
old
complains on a benefit. Everybody complains when it's when there's a consequence. I
exact.
think right now what we're looking at is you're right, an officiating crew that is just whistle happy. I think the backlash is gonna basically be us getting back to 80s, 90s ball and letting these guys, like, wail on each other, especially since I think really the
No, that'll never
superstar
happen.
edition I think the
That'll never
superstar
happen
edition
again.
of you don't think so?
No, because the player themselves are soft. Now, if you showed me videos of these guys out in the gyms and in practice, bumping bodies and really, and all this stuff, I'd be like, okay, they'll probably play like that in the league. These players are soft now. They'll still friggin' find a way to move around each other. They're not gonna body people like Shaq did back in the day. It's not happening. It's
Right?
it's just
Yeah.
not. It's not. There could be a few people like you know what if we went back to like 80s basketball, the Denver Nuggets would probably win like 8 or 9 championships in a row. Because
Right.
somebody like Joe Chick, yeah, would probably like just push you out of the way. You small human. Uh, but aside from that, these guys they play more finesse. Small ball made a big comeback for a while. Then everybody realized that no, basketball is designed for really tall people. We need really tall people.
Well, it is the ball has been in college, it's moving around a lot more. I anticipate seeing a little bit more of that in the NBA. I'm hoping for a more physical game just because it just makes for a better game.
Oh,
You
I
see
agree.
these guys
It
toughen
makes
up, you know?
Well, it makes for great entertainment. I like it when these
Right.
guys commit hard fouls and stuff. It is what it is. I'm just telling you that the basketball game has been changing for over a decade to being able to draw fouls and play this finesse style where it's more of rather than I get you and I back you down into the paint, it's more of let me draw you out to the 3-point line, get you to trip over your own feet, and then I can drive it in, and hopefully someone's arm outstretches and slaps me while I'm going in. That's really
Right.
what it is. They're driving for fouls. They're not really, obviously they're trying to put it in the basket. But it's no different than if you're a wide receiver and you're running, a 9, a fly route. The coach is going to tell you, yeah, catch the ball if it's there, but if it's not, make sure you freaking bump into the corner.
Right.
Try and draw a flag.
Right. Like I said, I don't know how I think it's a real problem. The NBA does have to fix it. Let's see what they do, and we'll keep an eye on it this season. See how many more people decide that they want to be all up in arms with it. Hunter, I'm going to go ahead and bid you adieu and sign off for just a moment. Everybody, always remember that you can follow us at the official lodge on YouTube. Just hit that like and subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell. And as always, this is Leo Valdez with Hunter Horn saying thank you so much for listening to this edition of The Woodshed.